Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I am Ina, and today I am talking about generational curse breakers. What's a generational curse breaker and how to know if you are one? Okay, that's what we're talking about. So I guess we could just start off with like the definition of a generational curse breaker. So like a generational curse breaker would be a person who breaks patterns that family members before them have been prone or partial to. Certain types of behavior patterns, ways of being, thinking, okay? These people are born into bloodlines or into families, and they come along to break these generational curses. So if addicts run in your family and you feel like you're a generational curse breaker, you have come to break that pattern. Okay, you will be the family member who did not get addicted to anything. Okay, that's what generational curse breakers come to do. They also help people to change their perspectives as well. So these can be people who are born into families that have negative paradigms that they're holding up, or negative ways of thinking. Like if you're born into a family that has racism, but then let's say you're a generational curse breaker, you're born into this racist family. Now it's like, okay, so you changed these people's perspective of how they view other races outside of their own. These are typically generational curse breakers. And those were just two examples, but it really could be anything. It really could be anything that a generational bloodline struggles with. So me personally, I believe that anyone who is a generational curse breaker, your entire existence is fated. Okay? Everything that you have done or have chosen to do, I feel like, or will decide to do, is all fated. It's all like planned out. It's all predicted. You know what I mean? Because there is a specific reason and purpose why you are here. And typically, a lot of people who are closely connected to you in life, these people are fated to receive some type of significant karma in this lifetime, or in the lifetime in which you are connected with them. And I feel like these are more than likely people that you guys have past lives together. God, that was hard trying to get that out. You guys have past lives together, a lot of you, if you believe you are a curse breaker. So a lot of your family members, these would be people that you have past life history with. A lot of these people would be receiving like significant karma just from your existence, and you're not even trying to do anything. Sometimes the karma can be good, sometimes the karma can be bad. I feel like I want to say a lot of the times for a generational curse breaker, the karma really can be perceived as like a negative karma. And when I start talking about this sort of thing, I just think about like a lot of like the ancestors who were born during the times of like segregation, who like fought for our rights and things like that. Like those clearly are generational, curse breakers. There are so many different, or like someone who could be born into a family. The family is very conservative, but maybe, you're born into this family and you're gay. And your family is very political, or maybe they're very religious. They're just very conservative, and then you're gay. And sometimes these are like generational curse breakers. These people come to break patterns. That period. That's really all I can say. And when we break patterns, behavior patterns, mental patterns, this changes your life. And not only does it change your life, the reason why being a the reason why being a generational curse breaker is so significant is because it not only changes your life, but it changes the life of those who come after you in your own bloodline, your children and their children, and so on and so forth. So then you guys are starting new habits and new patterns, and it's creating a new wave in time, a new ripple in time, so that your bloodline can be seen in a higher light than it had been prior you. You know what I mean? So let's see here. I'm just taking a look at my notes. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to how to know if you are a generational curse breaker. Like, how would you know? Like, for me, I think one of the number one signs that you're a generational curse breaker is that you're a black sheep. Somehow people find a way to black sheep you. Or you feel like the black sheep, you know. Usually generational curse breakers are popular loners. You know what I'm saying? They're the loners who everybody are still drawn to. Even if they just want to hate on you, it's like they can't help themselves. It's like you're over there minding your business. You're not talking to anyone. You're not bothering anyone. But they will come to you. They will come to you. And they will make trouble. These usually are your generational curse breakers, okay? Sometimes when you're a generational curse breaker, you usually at some point suffer some sort of huge betrayal, or you'll be targeted by someone or maybe even a group of people, all right? But usually when you're a generational curse breaker, it feels like you draw a lot of negativity into yourself without even trying. And I believe a lot of it has to do with how we think and having to realize just how powerful our minds are. And when we have certain types of programming, it draws in certain types of realities. But if you can change your thinking, change the programming, then you can change the reality that you experience. You can change your life, basically, just to put it how people would normally say it. Change your life. It's like come out of crazy world. Because what do they say the definition of insanity is? Doing the same thing over and over and over again, but expecting a different outcome. So it's like, as a generational curse breaker, whatever you're doing, the people before you did not have good outcomes from these things that they were doing. And you're coming through and you're doing something different to get a different outcome. Now, does that mean that everything is going to be perfect? No, it does not mean that. Me personally, I feel like it should be perfect because generational curse breakers have to go through hell and high water. I feel like it should all be perfect, but it's not, It's very bumpy road. You go through a lot. It's a lot of pain. It's a lot of transmuting of pain. Having to change that pain from pain into, passion. And then put that passion into something, I feel like a lot of generational curse breakers could be viewed as like healers too. They could be viewed as healers, but definitely people who have come to change like the perspective of others. Definitely people who have come to like change how people view whatever body they were born in. Like for me, I'll use myself for an example. I was born as a black woman in America. you know. So that's how I am experiencing this reality, and me resonating as like a generational curse breaker. Well, then I will cause a lot of people around me to change how they view Black women in America, because I'm not going to fit in a what do you call it, a stereotype. I won't fit a stereotype. So it's like whatever stereotype you come up with for the Black woman, when people encounter me, it won't be that stereotype, because I'm like me. I'm unique. There's only one me. You know, I'm unlike anyone that anyone else has ever known. And even if I seem like I'm like any other Black woman in America that you have met, at some point on some level, as you get to know me, you will realize that there is something about me that is very different. And I feel like as generational curse breakers, that's one thing we all have in common. And what gives us that thing, that je ne sais quoi, or that spark, or that thing about ourselves, is the fact that we are authentic. And we are being ourselves. And we're not trying to be like someone else, or trying to impress people. We're just really doing us. You know what I mean? And that, it's like sometimes as people, I don't think we realize like just how much we impact other people's lives that we encounter on a day-to-day basis. Like we really make a strong impact on people, you know? So it's kind of like if you see a person frowning and then you say something nice to them, you could have really, really just redirected the energy of their entire day. Could have just went from like a really low vibing day to now it's a more high vibrational day. The person's happier, and now their expectations have heightened, which puts them in position to receive more. And I think sometimes as human beings, we don't understand like how important that really is. You know, how important it really is, and how much power that we have as people. And when we're doing the work on ourselves and doing the best that we can be, or doing the best that we can do to be the best version of ourselves that we can be, it's really a blessing to other people, especially the people who get around us, who get to see us on a regular basis. They get to see us actually deal with challenges. They get to see us deal with the outside world. And then they get to see how we are, you know, personally, with our masks off and our hair down. These people are learning huge lessons from us, you know, as well, or we're impacting these people's lives. You know, we're all impacting each other, but there are some of us who have more influence over others. And some may say, well, that's not right. Well, it may not be right, but that is like, I feel like that's a fact. Some people have more influence over others than others do. And so if you find yourself being one of those people who actually have like influence over people, then you have an obligation at that point. And then I guess that's kind of like how I'm talking about generational curse breakers, but I'm just kind of like flowing. I'm just going to let the conversation flow and let it go where it's going, because I feel like it's all connected. It's all connected anyway. But like it kind of takes you to like when they would talk about being a role model, you know. And not that I necessarily agree with that or anything like that. I feel like when you have strong influence over other people's lives, you should just be authentic. You should just be you. Be you. Be the best version of you that you can be. And that does not mean perfect. Like perfect is not even a thing. Perfect to who? Because what you think is perfect, the next person won't think that that is perfect. So like, what is perfection even really? You know what I'm saying? Because there's so many different versions of it, because it's all about perception. So it's not about that, because you want to accept. It's like, just like you accept the good about yourself, you want to accept the bad about yourself too. Like, that goes back to shadow work and balancing yourself out and things like that. Nobody's trying to be like all light. It's impossible. To be a good, well balanced like human, you need to embrace like darkness and light. So you have to be able to accept those good things about yourself as well as those not so good things about yourself too. Because sometimes we have bad things wrong with us that we can change, but then sometimes we don't. You feel like you really don't have the capacity to change it. It just kind of is what it is. As long as it's not hurting anyone or breaking the law, it just is what it is. So just accept it. You know what I mean? And that is so powerful. The power of accepting like who you are. But kind of to get back on track with the whole generational curse breaker thing. When you come into a family as a generational curse breaker, you're gonna more than likely be the black sheep. No one's really gonna like you that much. Not for real. They don't like you because you're different. You're different from them, and you have the light, or it's kind of, I'm gonna use a light and dark analogy. It's like, and not saying that everyone in your family is evil because they're dark, but like, you're born into a family of darkness, but then you're the light that's born into that darkness. Everyone sees that you're the light, but sometimes as generational curse breakers, I think that in the early stages of your life, you could be blinded by your own light and think that other people are just as good as you, or everyone thinks like you. And you soon realize that people are not like you. Like, that's what you learn. I feel like as a starseed, that's one of the first things you learn, is that everyone is not all good. Everyone does not have good intentions towards the people that they encounter and interact with. Everyone does not want the best for everyone. That's not the world that we live in. And I feel like that there could be some people who could be generational curse breakers who could have that perception. Who could have that perception. And that's something that's like an illusion that ends up shedding away at some point along your journey, I feel like. Also, it's so many different things that happen, like, because it just depends to so many, okay, I'm trying to say so much at once. It's so many different things that I feel like different generational, like different curse breakers experience than others, because it's all based on like your conditioning, the way the family you were born within, how they think and how you're raised. But I feel like we all get conditioned, and then we have to break out of this conditioning and somehow find our own way along this path. And I feel like this is what it's all about, is finding your own voice. You have these people around you who don't really like you, but they feel like obligated to have to love you and take care of you because you're related. So that's another layer of trauma to have to deal with in itself. You know what I mean? Can you imagine being raised by someone who doesn't like you? And I'm sure there are many people who have experienced this, having parents who are jealous of you. But these are the people that you have to trust to love you and to take care of you, because you were born as a baby into the responsibility of these people. And I feel like a lot of times generational curse breakers, some of us can be born under circumstances such as that. The people who raise you just don't like you. They're jealous of you. Traits and qualities that you have. They find themselves having like a love-hate relationship with you. They love you, but then they hate you. They love you, but they don't like you. You know what I mean? They don't like you. And I feel like sometimes when you have a bright light, or you're a generational curse breaker, or you're a starseed, or whatever we want to put on it, it's like the targeting can start. Like, people want to target you. It's almost like it brings people satisfaction to make you sad, or bring you down, or drag you through the mud, or make you look bad. You know what I mean? This, for some people, is very ugly energy. And here's the thing too, because I'm saying what I'm saying, and some people would be like, I would never pull a person down. Well, what, and drag them through the mud just because, they had traits that I wish I had. Even if I were jealous of them, I still wouldn't act maliciously towards them. Okay? So then let someone walk into a room at your job wearing just the right suit, attractive, very intelligent, well-spoken, and now you feel insecure. Like, oh my gosh, this new person, they could get the promotion and I won't get promoted. Like, let the right person get around you and trigger you. And then we'll talk. Because, it's like with this sort of thing, people's egos, it takes a lot of strength to have self-control. Now, for me personally, I have a good amount of self-control. Okay? I do pretty good with self-control. Some areas I'm stronger with it than in others. But that was something that I had to learn, is that I was the type of person who thought, like, because I had self-control, that others had self-control. And yeah, some other people do have self-control, but there are other people who do not have self-control. So it's like, so that was just a realization. Like another time where I had that realization, where an illusion had fallen away, where my environment was not mirroring me in that sense. Okay. But another thing I wanted to talk about as a generational curse breaker, I feel like a lot of us have a lot of originality, like original ideas, original, projects that we want to create and pursue. And I feel like all of that is a part of our like fated, destined like path. These things we are meant to do. And a lot of us, we know what we were supposed to do. We knew what we were meant to do when we were children. And until today, it's still the agenda. It's still what you're meant to do. It's a fated experience. You can't get away from it. It's like if you were the type of person who felt like you had some sort of huge calling on your life, then you really do. You really do. But the one thing I will say is that if you do feel like you have a huge calling in your life, then that means that you have to step into alignment, which means that you will be challenged, because nothing is given easily. Okay. So you will have to fight for it. And that's just, with lifing, and coming up a different opposition coming up against you. Some of it intentional, some of it is just lifing. But either way it goes, you will prove if you're worthy. You know what I'm saying? And to step into position to do what it is you're meant to do, it takes a lot of heart, and you'll have to be brave. So I just send a lot of good vibes and a lot of good energy to those of you who resonate as generational curse breakers. It's a huge thing to do. But yeah, let me know down in the comments like your experience with it, and what you think about this. And I'm going to go ahead and put a pin in it right there. If the messages resonated with you, make sure you hit that like button. If you like my vibe, if you like the way I read energy, Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. And like I always say, use your best judgment, which is your intuition. And I'll see you guys in the next one.